You were on FaceTime. The whole chaos happens. You shove the phone in your pocket. You rush into the car. You rush into the hospital. You get back to the hotel. You pull out the old phone. Lo and behold, they're still on FaceTime. Hi, guys. I'm transitioning now back to lying doo-doo bag Frank Turek. I think he's a piece of trash liar. I said it, allegedly, in my opinion. And I think I'm going to prove, because of people like Base Sam Parker and others who on X saw Frank Turek say things, and then they, because this is a decentralized investigation, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of us following along. Sam was able to go, hey, wait a minute, that story doesn't add up, and I'll show you exactly what he's talking about. Let me take you back to the podcast between Jack Hibbs and Frank Turek. Frank Turek is going to describe, or Jack Hibbs is going to describe, when Frank Turek called him. And this is very important. It got past me the other night. I was too focused on the actual content of this particular discussion, and I wasn't thinking of it in all the global Charlie Kirk narrative and all the BS lies we've been told. Here is a BS lie that we're going to expose in just a moment, but you got to see the original BS lie first. Allegedly, in my opinion.
And then so I went about my morning, not long, and I'm trying to remember the sequence of things. I either got the first call from you or from Mikey. It was one or the other. It was very, very close. I do believe you were the first one.
That was after we got to the hospital.
Okay, then I got the first call from Mikey.
Because I was in the emergency room after we got Charlie there.
I
called you.
I remember what you were saying.
Yeah.
I was in the emergency room after we got Charlie there, and then I called you. Well, that's not bad. Okay, what's wrong with that? Well, I'll show you. I'll show you precisely what was wrong with that. Let me go back to Megyn Kelly interviewing Frank Turek. He has a different story. Now, the story should not change. This day should be seared in his smooth brain, but it is apparently not. Let me pull it up on the screen before I hit play. Megyn Kelly, if I go back just a few seconds, she's talking about, I know you had your phone on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know you had your phone on, and your son was hearing all of this too. So, I mean, he must have been traumatized just listening to it all.
Yeah, it was my son and daughter-in-law. I mean, he's 35 years old, and I was FaceTiming them because they love Charlie. And I was just, first I was FaceTiming my wife, and then I said, let me call Spencer. And so I started FaceTiming him.
During the event?
During the event, yeah, both during the event. And then when the shot rang out, I just, as I say, started heading toward the car, and I just put the phone in my back pocket. I didn't turn it off. I just, instinctively. And by the time I got to the hotel, I pulled it out. They were still there.
You were on FaceTime. You were at the event. You hear the bang. Charlie goes down. You begin panicking. You shove the phone in your back pocket. You don't turn FaceTime off. So they're listening to the whole thing. Your words, not mine. You go to the hospital. You're at the hospital for an undetermined amount of time. We'll talk about how long that was in just a moment. You get back to the hotel, and they're still on FaceTime. That's what he just said. You were on FaceTime. The whole chaos happens. You shove the phone in your pocket. You rush into the car. You rush into the hospital. You get back to the hotel. You pull out the old phone. Lo and behold, they're still on FaceTime. Hi, guys. Well, Frank, you just told Jack that you called him from the hospital. How did you call him from the hospital if your phone was in your back pocket the whole time? Your kids were on FaceTime the whole time, listening to the whole thing. And in fact, they were still there when you got to the hospital, when you got to the hotel. That's weird. I wonder if he said anything else that would make that an even weirder story. Where were his pockets? Where were his pockets this whole time? Because when you heard that right there, if they heard the whole thing, you would think the phone's just right there in your pockets in your jeans, right?
How is she that strong a person? Did you know that before this?
No, I didn't know it. I mean, in my life, I've spent very little time with Erica. I mean, Charlie introduced me a few times, hello, that kind of thing.
Let me pause right there and just say one more lie. He talked in the podcast with Jack Hibbs about one of the things that happened when he was at Charlie's house is Charlie and Erica would put the kids to bed and then they would go for a walk. In other words, Frank was in the house. You never said anything but hello to her when you were in her house all these times that she was there putting the kids to bed? Like, is she a recluse? She doesn't come out of the bedroom? You've only said hello a few times, but you've been in her house enough times that there's this pattern and practice that you're so comfortable with that you know how it goes, that Charlie puts the kids to bed with Erica and then you guys go for a walk. This is just something that normally happens. Or were you BSing Jack in order to establish an alibi as if Erica was there in the house? But that's not what I want to cover tonight. That's not the lie I'm looking at. I want you to listen carefully to what he's about to say here, and then try to think, is this possible with everything we know that he's told to date?
The only time I spent with her was with other people the night of the murder. We were at that hospital for probably 6 or 7 hours after the murder.
That's a long FaceTime call. My phone battery would have died. 6 or 7 hours? You were at the hospital 6 or 7 hours, but when you got back to the hotel, you told Megyn Kelly earlier, when you got back to the hotel, your family was still on the FaceTime? They heard the whole thing? Is your battery the size of a Volkswagen? Do you have the largest phone in the history of mankind? Do you have a suitcase for a phone? You pick up your phone like this and hold it to your side of your head because the battery's the size of a Tesla? Oh, it gets worse.
And I would say Erica got there maybe 3 hours after the murder, something like that. And of course, she had to have a long talk with the surgeons, and then she had to go see Charlie and had to do a number of things. And when she was done with Charlie and we were about to head out, we were changing cities essentially. And of course, Mikey arranged it all. She came out into the hallway and I was just standing there. I was standing in scrubs you can imagine why I couldn't wear my clothes. And
So where were his pockets? Where were his jean pockets as he was standing in scrubs for 7 hours? That his family could hear the whole conversation and they were still on FaceTime when he got back to the hotel. Frank, we're listening, Frank. We'd like to hear the whole story. You told Jack Hibbs, you remember Jack? I called you when I got to the hospital. Now I want to go back and play that in light of everything you now know, that it's BS. It didn't happen now. It's a lie. Because now the look on Frank's face makes so much more sense. Remember how 2 nights ago when we covered this and I said he looked like a disappointed father? Like, son, I told you, don't go to the field party. I know it's graduation night, but I know what happens in these field parties. The cops show up. You guys all have to run. Some of you get arrested. Don't go. I'll be very disappointed if you go. And then you find out your son was there and you go, told you not to go. It's disappointment. It's not anger. It's disappointment. Now look at Frank's face as Jack is telling this story, and you can see the disappointment just well up as Jack screws the story up and Frank has to intervene.
And then so I went about my morning, not long, and I'm trying to remember the sequence of things. I either got the first call from you or from Mikey. It was one or the other. It was very, very close. I do believe you were the first one.
That was after we got to the hospital.
Okay.
That was, dang it, Jack. That was after we got to the hospital.
And then so I went about my morning, not long, and I'm trying to remember the sequence of things. I either got the first call from you or from Mikey. It was one or the other. It was very, very close. I do believe you were the first one.
Oh, Jack, I told Megyn Kelly I was in scrubs and my pockets were not near me. And I also told Megyn Kelly that I was on FaceTime for 7 hours with my kids, and my phone was in my back pocket. So, oh gosh. Jack, why were you at the field party? That's the field party look. Look, if you have a parent of teenagers, you know the field party look. Told you not to go. Can't believe you're hanging me out like this, son. Everybody in the neighborhood now knows. For the record, I've never had to make this face to my child, but my parents had to make the face to me. Sorry, Ma. Sorry. Won't happen again. But I know that face because I saw it when I was a teenager. Disappointment. So we learned a few things tonight. We learned that when Frank changed into scrubs, he carefully removed his phone without looking at the screen, without listening for people talking, and put it in his back pocket of his scrubs without turning off FaceTime. And we know how finicky FaceTime is. You can accidentally hang up on people on FaceTime in no time. We also learned his phone has miraculous battery life. Miraculous. I mean, it's unbelievable how big his battery is. Like, he has to roll it around with him when he travels, his phone. It's just a massive battery. Now, his phone might fit in his pocket, but it's obviously connected by a battery that's just, like this big. It just wheels it around. 1,000-pound battery. Or we've learned Frank is full of crap, which I think is highly likely. Much probably more likely, if I had to guess. If I had to guess, the crap meter is probably way up here, and the truth meter is way down here when he's telling these stories. But you have to ask the question, why Why? What happened on your phone, Frank? What was it about your phone that makes you have to tell these outlandish stories? You remember about the necklace? Oh, yeah, the police were looking for the necklace. Erica just couldn't wait to find the necklace. Where's the necklace? Where's the necklace? I went out to the car and I was looking, and then, oh, lo and behold, it was just right there in my bag on the floor. Found the necklace. And when you hear all this story, you say, what the hell's going on with the necklace? Like, no, I wasn't even looking at the necklace, but now I want to know where the necklace is. Can I examine the necklace? Do we have the necklace from that day? You know, we see Erica wearing a necklace around. Is that the same necklace? Do we know where the necklace is? Did she get the necklace repaired? Is there a record of the necklace being repaired? We saw it tear off and zip around his head. So it raises the question, because there was so much emphasis around the necklace and so many different stories about the necklace. So he had to come in the night before and get the necklace. He never took the necklace off. But the night before, he did take the necklace off, even though he never took the necklace off. But because he took the necklace off, he had to come into the bedroom and get the necklace because he had to wear the necklace to the show, because he always wears the necklace. He never takes it off except the night he did take it off. And then because I'd given it to him as a gift because it's a great necklace and it was his first year anniversary present, and he wasn't a jewelry guy, but he loved necklace. Oh, here, Jesse Waters, have you seen the necklace and all the things? Here's the necklace. This is the necklace Charlie was wearing. Don't ask any questions about the necklace. Jesse, don't ask any question about the necklace. It's just a necklace. It's just a necklace, Jesse. Don't. I mean, it's natural for me to go, what the hell's going on with the necklace? Why are we talking so much about the necklace? No one was even talking about the necklace. It's like you pull over a guy with 10 kilos in the trunk, and the cops come to the door, and he's like, 10 and 2, baby. He's like, no, everything's good. And the cops are like, everything good tonight? Yep, everything's good. Where you headed? Don't look in the trunk. Why would you say such a thing? I was just asking where you're headed. I'm going to Kroger. Don't look in the trunk. Is there something in the trunk? Nothing's in the trunk. Don't look in the trunk. Stay out of the trunk. That's how I felt about the necklace. They're assaulting me with stories about the necklace, and I'm not asking about the necklace, which makes me ask about the necklace, makes me wonder what the hell's going on with the necklace. Well, now you know how I feel about the phone. What were you doing on your phone, Frank? What were you doing on your phone that you have to tell so many detailed stories about the phone, as if you don't want anyone asking about the phone? You don't even looking at the phone. Because I'll be honest, after this, you know what I did this morning? Well, I did several things this morning. But one of the things I did this morning was I saw as many videos as I could find, and I watched about an hour and a half of them, of Frank Turek looking at his phone in the very few moments before Charlie Kirk was taken down. You know what I didn't see? FaceTime. I saw no FaceTime. Now, that's not to say 100% certainty that there was no FaceTime, but allegedly, in my opinion, he wasn't on FaceTime. So what the hell were you doing on your phone? It's obvious you don't want people asking about your phone. You can't stop talking about your phone. You guys don't want people talking about the necklace, and you can't stop talking about the necklace. You even have to show Jesse Waters the necklace. You have to wear the necklace around in public so that everybody makes sure we know we've seen the necklace. Nothing could have possibly gone wrong with the necklace. She wears the necklace. The necklace was in great condition. She showed the necklace to Jesse Waters. The necklace wasn't lost. Frank Turek found the necklace in the parking lot in the thing. And Erica was concerned about, shut up about the necklace. Shut up about the phone, Frank. Shut up about the phone. But now that you've mentioned the phone, what the hell were you doing on your phone? Because I know what you weren't doing, Frank. You weren't on FaceTime, in my opinion, allegedly. Doesn't look like you were on FaceTime. In fact, you were on FaceTime earlier during the event because cameras captured you on FaceTime, and it looked like FaceTime. You open FaceTime and you can see faces. That's the definition of FaceTime. There are, in fact, faces. But when you're not on FaceTime, guess what's not on your phone? Yeah, faces. That's right. Good, class. Good. You guys are learning. Fast learners. And so because we review 2 or 3 different camera angles that pick up your phone in the moments before Charlie Kirk passes away or is taken down, because we're able to see your screen of your phone in several different camera angles, and it appears you're not on FaceTime when there are other camera angles from 10, 20, 30 minutes earlier where you were on FaceTime and it was obvious you were on FaceTime. We've got a don't look in the trunk scenario. Why are you talking about your phone? Why are you telling impossible stories about your phone? Why are you telling us that you were on an 8-hour FaceTime call with your family? That's bullcrap. Nobody believes that. Why are you telling us that the phone was in your back pocket the whole time when you changed clothes? Why are you telling us that you were on FaceTime with your family when Jack Hibbs is telling us you called him? It reminds me a little bit of Andrew Colvette. No one asked him about his phone, but he made sure we knew his phone broke, and he had to get rid of his phone broke. Oh, doggone it, my phone broke. Well, that's weird. My phone's never broken like that, if not from receiving phone calls. I mean, that's what they're designed to do, is receive phone calls and text messages. I mean, a lot of text messages and phone calls. That's what they're designed to do, Andrew. They don't break when you get, they don't blow up. That's an expression. My phone is blowing up. They don't actually blow up, Andrew. They don't actually blow up. So when you mention that your phone broke, what you're telling us is you got rid of your phone. I mean, that's what allegedly, in my opinion, that's what it sounds like to me. That in the midst of all this chaos, where your whereabouts are strangely unaccounted for and your itinerary is strangely fake looking, and you strangely told a story to Candace, allegedly, of falling into Erica's arms on the tarmac, and then we look at the flight records and there's no time when that could have taken place, according to the timelines you guys maintain are true, we might want to look at your phone. Phones have a lot of information. They can tell you where you were, physically where you were. The GPS coordinates will ping. Google Maps will ping if you're running it. You can see who you called. You can download messages that you've even deleted, pictures you've even deleted. There's a lot you can get off of a handset if you have it. But if it broke and you had to rush out and get a new handset, well, that's different. That's different. Now we're losing some information, Andrew. Well, no one asked about your phone. Are you concerned, Andrew, that one day someone would say, well, we went to look at his phone, but he got a new phone the following day after this all happened. So doo-doo out of luck. We're dual. Doo-doo out of luck. Can't get his phone. No one asked about your phone, Andrew. No one asked about your phone, Frank. No one asked what order you called people and who you were talking to. No one asked if you were on FaceTime. You just volunteered all that. Why? No one asked about the necklace. Why? It's almost like these demons have to tell you what they did. It's almost like these demons have to announce the truth, even though they're going to tell you it's not what happened. That's a thought, allegedly. But that's how I look at this. And that's how I'm sorry, Frank. That's how I look at this. I think every time you guys get caught in an easy lie, you guys look so typical.